And look at this mess. Look at what you walked into without even knowing the universe was watching. The people who once said you were nothing special, the ones who swore you'd never matter. Funny how quiet they've gotten now. Funny how fast their mouths shut the moment they realized who it was that ended up needing you. They used to laugh at you, remember? Now the same clowns are whispering your name like it's classified. "Oh, the legend needs to bow," they said once. Cute. Now they're the ones bowing without even being told, because today's truth hits harder than their lies ever did. You accidentally saved a very dangerous power player, and now they owe you everything. And that fact alone sends chills up the spines of people who thought they could play you. They didn't just underestimate you, they miscalculated the entire game. The silence around you right now, that's the sound of their fear rearranging itself into respect. Before we go deeper, pay this message back by liking and subscribing. It helps this voice reach every chosen one who needs it. Now, let's get back to the part that makes your enemies taste dread. Everything changed the moment you stepped in. It wasn't planned. It wasn't heroic by design. It was instinct. It was your heart doing what your brain didn't have time to argue with. One move from you, 1 second of raw humanity, and the entire atmosphere in your life shifted. You didn't know that the person you saved wasn't just some stranger. You didn't know their name makes whole circles panic. You didn't know they were the kind of person who has people watching them from rooftops and tinted cars. But you felt it, didn't you? The air changed. The world paused. Eyes you didn't even know were there landed on you. And the chosen ones always feel that shift before anyone explains it. You acted when someone else would have frozen. You stepped toward danger while others stepped back. And you did it without some grand plan, without looking for praise, without realizing you were stepping straight into a world where gratitude is a weapon. You saved someone the universe calls dangerous, but that label doesn't even begin to cover it. This wasn't someone who owes people favors. This wasn't someone who says thank you. This was someone whose enemies never survive long enough to blink. And you, the one they dismissed, the one they overlooked, became the only person they owe a life to. Don't pretend you don't feel the shift. People around you have already changed their tone. The same ones who mocked you now act careful with your name. The ones who treated you like background noise now pause when you walk in. Because they can feel it too. You're not alone anymore. Someone powerful is watching. Someone dangerous knows your face, your voice, your heart. And for the first time in a long time, the world realizes you're not the easy target they assumed. This is the part nobody wants to admit because it ruins their little storyline. You didn't have to fight back. Life fought for you, and nothing terrifies your enemies more than that. Let's rewind, because your story didn't start with power. It started with routine, with quiet days, with the kind of life that felt predictable. You weren't trying to be a hero. You weren't asking for trouble. You were just existing, minding your business, being the type who helps without expecting anything back. You didn't know fate was about to flip the board while acting like it was just another boring Tuesday. Maybe you were walking home. Maybe you were grabbing food. Maybe you were somewhere you weren't even supposed to be, but you saw something, someone, and everything inside you said, move. You didn't see the warning signs. You didn't see the suits or the expensive watch or the tattoos that only certain groups understand. You didn't see the scars, the history, the danger. You saw a human in crisis. And sometimes the universe tests people without telling them it's a test. When you acted, the world took a photo of that moment, a before and after, because the moment those eyes opened, the moment that power player realized who pulled them back from the edge, a new line got written across your destiny. The kind of line people pretend doesn't exist because it threatens their comfort. And here's the part you don't talk about, but I know you felt something in that moment break open inside you. A courage you didn't know you had. A stillness, a clarity, like the universe was telling you, this is why you survived everything. The power player looked at you differently, not like you were weak, not like you were random, not like you were beneath them. They looked at you with the kind of respect that can't be faked, the kind of respect people spend their whole lives begging for and never get. You earned it in one moment, by instinct. And now you're tied to someone whose gratitude could shake entire rooms, someone who doesn't owe anyone, someone who's used to being feared, not saved, someone who has a long list of people who want a piece of them, but only one person who pulled them back from the edge. They don't forget that, ever, and that's where your enemies messed up. They thought you were alone. They thought you were harmless. They thought they could push you around, talk down to you, laugh at you, walk over you. They thought your kindness was weakness. They thought your silence meant defeat. But the universe has a sick sense of humor, because now the one person they'd never dare cross owes you everything. Let that sink in. The same people who whispered you're irrelevant are now whispering, don't touch them. The ones who mocked you are now rewriting history to pretend they always respected you. The ones who treated you like you were invisible now suddenly see you very clearly. Because power didn't walk into your life with fireworks. Power walked in, covered in blood and fear and secrets, and you saved it. And the most dangerous kind of gratitude is the kind that comes from someone who never gives it. This is why your life feels different now, why things feel heavier and lighter at the same time, why opportunities appear out of nowhere, why certain problems disappear before they reach your door, why people who used to cause chaos in your life now act like they've seen a ghost every time you walk by. And yes, chosen one, they have. They've seen a version of you that scares them. A version you didn't even know was possible until that one moment changed everything. Let the tears fall if they need to. You're not crying because you're weak. You're crying because the universe finally showed you the truth. You were never small. You were never powerless. You were never forgettable. You were just waiting for the moment that proved it. And that moment came when you saved someone the world fears. And they chose to fear losing you even more. Before we move deeper, chosen one, let me say this loud. Thank you for showing up today. You have no idea how many people would run from a truth this heavy, but you're still here, standing in the middle of it. And since you already cracked open a world most people fear to even look at, do your part to keep this message alive. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop the comment 999 if you're ready to see what really happens when a dangerous power player decides they owe you everything. Your support keeps this mission moving. Whether it's a small gift or a big one, it fuels the team that brings these hidden truths to light. And now, chosen one, take a breath. We're about to walk into the deeper layers of this story, step by step. If you really are who I think you are, you'll feel something pulling you to stay until the very end. This isn't just information. This is the universe showing you why everything shifted the moment you saved the wrong person, or maybe the right one. Let's get into it. Number 1. He wasn't just a man. You saved a storm in human form. Funny how they called you weak, right up until the monster you saved started protecting your name like it was his own. Let's get something straight before anyone starts rewriting history. The person you dragged back from the edge wasn't some random nobody. He wasn't just a guy with a rough past. You saved someone the world whispers about, but never says out loud. And the best part? Your enemies know it. They feel it in their chest every time they remember the moment you stepped into a situation that should have swallowed you whole. It burns them because you didn't just walk into danger. You unknowingly walked straight into the throne room of a man who bends entire systems with a single decision. And if you're wondering, why does this feel so unreal? Why does life feel heavier around me now? It's because the universe doesn't play around with moments like this. You didn't save a man, you saved a force. Someone whose name makes entire networks freeze. Someone who can pull strings most people don't even know exist. Someone who can flip fortunes, wipe out enemies, and change the direction of events without leaving fingerprints. Someone who lives in a world where gratitude is rare and a life debt is sacred. But the part that really blows the whole story wide open, you had no idea who he was, and somehow that made you even more dangerous. Do you understand how insane that is to your enemies? How crazy it makes them feel inside? They spent months trying to break your confidence, your spirit, your voice. They used gossip, fake friendships, emotional traps, jealousy, all the childish tactics weak people use when they know they can't reach your level. And out of nowhere, you go save the one man they would never dare approach, never dare cross, never dare even look in the eyes too long. It's poetic, it's humiliating for them, and it's powerful for you. Let's pull back the curtain a little deeper. The man you saved doesn't operate in the daylight. His world is made of secrets, loyalty, and consequences. People follow him not out of fear alone, but because he understands how power works. He moves in silence until it's time to roar. He builds empires behind tinted glass. He protects what's his with intensity most humans can't understand. People like him don't just live, they dominate. And when someone like that owes a life debt, it's not casual, it's not symbolic, it's permanent. And that's the part that will haunt your enemies endlessly, because now they realize every time they mistreated you, every time they mocked you, every time they took advantage of your kindness. Someone far above their pay grade has the receipts. Maybe you're thinking, why me? Why did the universe put me in that moment? Simple answer, because you were the only one in that entire scene who had the heart and courage to act. Others saw danger and stepped back. You saw danger and stepped forward without thinking twice. Not because you wanted glory, not because you knew who he was, but because your instinct is stronger than their fear, and that instinct just opened doors you don't even see yet. Imagine this, an empire built on power, silence, and respect. A man at the center who has seen betrayal, violence, and greed every day of his life. Someone who trusts no one, who knows that even a handshake can be a trap. Someone who's had to harden his heart just to survive the world he operates in. Then comes you, a complete stranger who helped him without wanting anything back. Do you think that didn't shake him? Do you think that didn't cut through every cold layer he built? Let me tell you the truth. You hit him harder than any bullet ever could. People in his world only help if there's something to gain. They only show up if they're being watched. They only care when it benefits them. But you acted out of pure instinct, not manipulation, not strategy, not survival. And that right there is why people fear you now. Because they don't understand people who are good without a motive. They can't predict people whose power comes naturally. They can't control someone whose strength comes from within instead of a title. The universe made sure your act didn't just save a life. It exposed your character. Your enemies hate this part the most. They used to laugh at you. They used to say you were too soft, too emotional, too trusting, too nice. They thought those traits made you weak. But now, those exact traits unlocked a form of protection they could never buy, never fake, never threaten their way into. The same softness they mocked is the reason a man with power beyond their comprehension would burn the world down before letting anything happen to you. Here's a fact nobody wants to say out loud. You're not protected because he's dangerous. You're protected because he respects you. Respect from someone like him is not handed out. It's earned through fire. You earned it in a split second by being exactly who you are. And if you're still wondering why life feels different around you now, why people are acting strange, why certain problems are disappearing, why old enemies suddenly avoid eye contact, it's simple. They can feel that someone powerful is standing behind you, even if they don't know the details. It's the energy shift, the change in how you move, the quiet confidence that slips into your voice without trying. When a power player owes you everything, your entire presence becomes untouchable. Think back to your lowest moments. Think back to when people took advantage of your heart. Think back to when people used your kindness as their playground. Think back to when you cried alone, not knowing the universe was setting up the biggest plot twist of your life. Now look where you are. Your heart, the same heart they tried to break, ended up saving the one person whose gratitude comes with power people fear. It's almost funny, isn't it? The universe watched them underestimate you. The universe watched them laugh at you. The universe watched them lie about you. And the universe said, "All right, watch this." You accidentally saved a man who controls entire networks. You unintentionally earned a form of protection that terrifies cowards. You unknowingly stepped into a world where your name now carries weight. Let your enemies choke on this truth. You're no longer someone they can touch, not because of violence, not because of revenge, but because the most dangerous man they know owes everything to the person they tried to destroy. And here's the final punch you didn't expect. He doesn't see you as weak. He doesn't see you as small. He sees you as the one person brave enough to act when the world froze. And trust me, a man like that never forgets. This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of their fear and your rise. Number 2. The Watchers have already chosen their side, and it's yours. Wild how they used to ignore you, and now the people who scare them jump to attention when you breathe. Let's crack open the truth that's been creeping around you lately. The shift you've been feeling, the quiet stares, the cars that seem to appear, linger, and leave. The men who pretend to be just passing by, but keep showing up in the exact same spots. Yeah, that's not paranoia. That's the universe placing guards around someone whose life just got linked to a man no one dares touch. And before your mind spirals, let me answer the question burning inside you. Why me? Why are they watching me? Simple. Because the moment you saved him, the moment your hands met his blood and pulled him back over that invisible line between life and death, you became part of his world. A world where debts are not small. A world where gratitude is not symbolic. A world where protection is not optional. You didn't choose these Watchers. They chose you the second he opened his eyes and whispered your name. Imagine this. You're walking into a store. You feel a pair of eyes on you. Your brain says stranger. Their brain says asset. You're paying for groceries and someone steps back just a bit too respectfully. You think it's politeness. They think it's protocol. You sit down in a cafe and someone 3 tables away puts down their phone the moment you pick up yours. You think coincidence. They think threat assessment. It's not fear. It's not suspicion. It's reverence. People like them don't care about your past. They don't care about your mistakes. They don't care about your old life. All they care about is this. You saved the man they're sworn to protect. And in their world, that makes you more important than half the people they take orders from. Here's a quote you need burned into your mind. Power respects courage, even when courage doesn't know it's being watched. And you proved your courage without even knowing the stage you were standing on. Let's answer another question that's been itching the back of your thoughts. Are they following me? No, chosen one. They're following orders. Orders that say, no harm touches the person who saved him. Orders that say, if they stumble, lift them. If they fall, catch them. If danger comes, erase it before they even notice. Imagine this next scene. You're walking alone at night. You think you're vulnerable. A shadow steps out near you, but before you even register danger, someone across the street shifts position. A car engine runs low. A phone call is made, and suddenly the threat backs away like it saw something it shouldn't, because it did. It saw them, and them is enough to scare away anyone who once thought you were an easy target. Here's another truth bomb for your beautifully shocked brain. The universe moves the pieces long before you realize you're the one being played for checkmate. You're no longer living a normal life. You can pretend you are, but the watchers already know your habits, your routes, your schedule. Not because they're spying, but because they're building a protective circle around you. You didn't earn this with money. You didn't earn it with favors. You earned it by doing the one thing nobody expected, acting with real humanity in a world built on power. Let me drop another metaphor to make it simple. Imagine a fragile glass vase sitting on a table. People bump into it, knock it over, treat it carelessly. That was you before. Not because you were weak, but because people didn't understand your value. Now imagine that same vase being placed inside a bulletproof case, guarded by alarms and soft lights, because someone with immense power said, "This one matters." That's your life right now. You didn't change. People's understanding of you changed. Here's another quote that hits right at the enemy's throat. Funny how fast they respect you once someone they fear respects you more. Your old life, the one where you walked unnoticed, where your kindness went unappreciated, where people thought they could toss you aside, died the moment his blood touched your hands, because that moment didn't just save him. It awakened a chain reaction of loyalty, protection, and silent allegiance. And yes, chosen one, you might feel uncomfortable with this sudden spotlight. You might wonder, do I even deserve this? But that's the thing. In his world, deserving doesn't matter. You saved him. That's the only qualification required. Let's dig into another metaphor, because sometimes the universe enjoys painting pictures. Imagine a chessboard. You've been moving like a pawn your whole life. Quiet steps, predictable path, nobody paying attention to your squares. Then suddenly, without warning, you perform a move only a knight could make. A bold, unexpected leap into danger. The board freezes. Every piece, black and white, turns toward you. Who allowed the pawn to move like that? They whisper. Who gave them permission? The universe did. And now the board rearranges around you. These watchers, they're not here to control you. They're here to make sure nobody else does. They're the silent wall between you and the consequences you didn't even know existed. When you saved him, you stepped into the crossfire of enemies who never miss. Now you're wrapped in the protection of people who never sleep. Let's answer another mind-nagging question. Can I go back to normal? No, and you shouldn't want to. Normal was the world where nobody saw you. Normal was the life where you were invisible. Normal was the era where people played you like you were disposable. That version of you served its purpose, and the universe retired it. You're not meant for the shadows of your old life anymore. You're meant to stand beside the one person whose very existence bends entire timelines. Here's another quote for the enemy's nightmares. They called you ordinary. Now armed men clear rooms before you enter them. Let that sink in. Imagine this final picture. You walk into a building. The air shifts. People straighten their backs without knowing why. Someone's earpiece crackles. A car outside idles with the engine running. A set of dark windows tilt just slightly in your direction. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, but everything controlled, everything precise, everything designed to make sure you are safe. Not because you begged for it, not because you demanded it, but because someone with power carved your name into their priorities. This is your life now, not a cage, a fortress. You didn't choose the Watchers, but they chose you the moment the man whose world runs on danger whispered, "Find them, protect them, they saved me." So no, chosen one, they're not watching you with suspicion, they're watching you with respect, with duty, with an understanding that you are now tied to someone whose gratitude shifts the atmosphere. Your anonymity ended the moment you saved him, and the universe made sure you will never walk unprotected again. This is not surveillance. This is allegiance. This is not fear. This is reverence. And you, chosen one, you earned every pair of eyes guarding your path. Number 3, the debt that refuses to die and refuses to let you fall. One act of mercy from you, and now entire wolves wait for your signal before they bare their teeth. Let's drag this truth into the light, chosen one, because your enemies would give anything to pretend it isn't real. The debt he owes you didn't fade with time. It multiplied. It grew legs. It grew claws. It grew a network. Every night you sleep without a single worry crawling into your room, that's the debt moving. Every threat that somehow never makes it to your doorstep. That's the debt blocking it before you even sense danger. Every lucky moment that saves you from chaos, nothing lucky about it. That's the universe honoring what you did. Imagine this. You're living your life thinking everything is just calm. Meanwhile, someone miles away hears your name in the wrong conversation and shuts it down before it becomes a problem. You're drinking your morning coffee, unaware that someone erased a threat you were never meant to see. That's the life you're in now. A life where invisible protection wraps around you like a second skin. And you might ask, does the debt ever end? No. In his world, a life debt is eternal. It doesn't weaken, it fortifies. Here's the crazy part. Your name is now on a list most people would sell their soul to be on. A list marked, do not touch under any circumstance. Soldiers wish they had your immunity. Criminals wish they had your protection. Even your enemies whisper your name carefully now because they know one wrong word could trigger consequences they're not built to survive. You earned all of this in one instinctive moment of mercy, and the universe refuses to let that moment go unnoticed. Number 4. The invisible hand rearranging your entire reality. Funny how life used to stomp on you. Now it steps aside like it got the memo. Let's break this wide open, chosen one, because what's happening around you isn't some cute string of coincidences. The protection you're under is active, not passive. It moves, it interferes, it clears paths, it shuts doors in the faces of people who once celebrated your pain. You think opportunities are random. You think suddenly being chosen, promoted or elevated is chance. Not even close. Imagine this. A problem is walking toward you, fully ready to ruin your week. But before it reaches you, it gets yanked into a black hole and never returns. You never hear about it. You never see it. Someone else cleans it up before you even feel the whistle of trouble passing by your ear. That's what your life looks like now. Danger drained before it ever touches your shadow. You might wonder, why does everything feel easier now? Why do old enemies disappear like they moved to another universe? Because they did. Someone made sure of it. Promotions land in your lap, not because the world suddenly recognized your hard work, but because someone with influence nudged the pieces behind the scenes. Toxic people fall out of your orbit because someone quietly removed their access. Door after door opens for you, not because you begged, but because somebody powerful whispered, "Make room for them." And here's the part that hits hardest. He's watching you, not like prey, but like a puzzle he can't solve. He sees your instinct. He sees your compassion. He sees how you stay clean in a world full of corruption. That fascinates him. It disarms him. It makes him protect you harder because he knows people like you don't come twice in a lifetime. Your life isn't random anymore. The world is moving around you because he decided you deserve a life where nothing breaks you again. Number 5. When power knocks, it doesn't ask if you're ready. It asks if you're built for it. Power doesn't corrupt you. It just exposes whether you were pretending to be small. Chosen one, this next part is where most people fail, because when someone like him sees potential in you, he doesn't hand out small favors. He hands out world-tilting opportunities. Access you were never supposed to have. Shortcuts that slice years off your journey. Solutions that fall into your hands before you even say the problem out loud, and your mind whispers, "Why me? Why is all this suddenly possible?" Because he's testing something deeper than loyalty. He's testing your core. Imagine this. A door opens, and behind it sits a table where decisions are made that affect thousands, sometimes millions. You walk in, and the room goes quiet. Not because you're feared, but because everyone senses you were invited by someone they can't afford to question. You think you're underdressed. They think you're untouchable. That's what his endorsement does. It drags you into arenas your old life could never imagine. But here comes the real question clawing in your head. If I accept these doors, do I lose myself? That's the trap. That's the test. Power is a strange thing. It doesn't show its danger by screaming. It whispers, it tempts, it offers comfort so intoxicating that ordinary life starts to taste like dust. You get used to doors opening. You get used to solutions falling into place. You get used to being protected, being respected, being recognized, and slowly The danger isn't the world around you. It's the shift inside you. Here's the quote you need burned into your ribs. Power isn't dangerous because it changes you. It's dangerous because it makes you forget who you were before it arrived. Imagine standing in a room filled with people who influence industries. They speak in coded language. They negotiate futures. Money moves. Territory moves. Lives move. And in the middle of all that, you are completely unshaken. Because he put you there. That's intoxicating. That's addictive. And that's exactly why this is a test. He isn't watching to see if you take the opportunities. He's watching to see if the opportunities take you. People crumble when power touches them. They inflate. They act superior. They forget kindness. They forget humility. They forget the exact heart that made them worthy of protection in the first place. But you? Your strength was never built on ego. It was built on instinct, compassion, and courage, the things he respects most. And yes, chosen one, you might wonder, how do I stay grounded when life is pulling me upward this fast? The answer is simple. Remember who you were before the world opened for you, and make sure that person is still sitting in your chest. Because here's another gut punch truth. He didn't choose you because you wanted power. He chose you because you didn't. This phase of your story isn't about greed. It's about character. It's about proving that someone can walk through halls built from influence and still leave with their soul intact. It's about proving that rising doesn't require becoming someone else. The universe is watching the same way he is, waiting to see whether you can stand in unimaginable rooms without letting those rooms swallow you. This is your test. And the fact that you're even thinking about how to stay true, that's proof you're already passing. Number 6. The world is holding its breath, waiting to see what you become. Nothing scares them more than someone who can touch power and not lose their soul to it. Chosen one, the spotlight is on you in ways you can't even see. Powerful people, real power, the kind that shapes outcomes before the public even hears the story, are studying your rise like a live experiment. They're whispering your name in boardrooms, in cars with tinted windows, in quiet corners where deals are made without signatures. And every single one of them is trying to predict your next move. Imagine this. You walk forward thinking you're just living your life, while behind closed doors they're arguing about you. One group is convinced you'll cash in the debt and flip your entire world overnight. Another group laughs and says you'll reject it all, pretend nothing changed, try to force your life back into normal. But then there's the group that shocks everyone, the ones who believe you're something different, something rare. They believe you might pull off the impossible, accept protection, accept access, accept elevation, and still stay clean. And that terrifies them. Because how do you fight someone who has power but isn't ruled by it? How do you break someone who can step into a dangerous world without becoming dangerous themselves? How do you manipulate someone who refuses to be corrupted? Here's the truth you're not ready for. Your transformation is the real spectacle, not the protection. They're watching to see if you bend. They're watching to see if you glow. They're watching to see if you become everything they never expected. And deep down, they already know the answer. You're built for this, and the universe is making sure the whole world witnesses it. Number 7. There's no escape from a debt written in blood and loyalty. You don't run from protection like this. It moves with you, like a shadow that refuses to lose its owner. Chosen one, let's stop pretending you can disappear. If you try to run, he'll find you faster than you find your next breath. Not because he's angry, not because he wants control, but because you matter in a world where almost nothing does. People like him don't panic when someone flees, they worry. And his worry is more powerful than most people's rage. Imagine this. You vanish into another city thinking you've erased your tracks. Meanwhile, someone you've never met gently moves a piece on the board. A camera angle shifts, a name is flagged, a location pings, and before you can unpack your suitcase, a familiar black car appears down the block. Not threatening, just waiting, because you don't outrun a network built on precision. Here's the truth your mind keeps whispering. What has he been protecting me from? More than you'd ever want to list. Betrayal that was cut off before it reached your ears. Lies that were buried before they hit your reputation. Threats removed like weeds before they touched your garden. Your safety is being curated daily. Handcrafted security by people whose names you'll never learn. They delete danger the way others delete emails. And if you try to escape all this, he won't drag you back. He'll show up with concern in his eyes and say, "You don't have to run. You were never unsafe with me." Because running isn't rebellion in his world. It's a cry for clarity, and he'll always answer it. Number 8. The war inside your mind is the one he can't fight for you. Power can protect your body, but it can't quiet the storm in your head. Chosen one, this is where the game gets brutal, not out there, but inside you. Everyone talks about danger, loyalty, protection, but nobody talks about what happens in your mind when you realize your peace isn't built by your own hands anymore. When every calm day feels like someone else crafted it behind the scenes. When every threat disappears so cleanly you never even knew it existed. That kind of safety is a blessing and a weight. Imagine this. You're sitting alone, trying to relax, but a little voice whispers, "Is this peace really mine?" Another voice answers, "Or is someone holding the world still so you don't feel the tremors?" That's the mental battle, the quiet war that comes with being tied to someone whose reach runs deeper than anything you've ever known. And yes, you'll ask yourself the hard questions. Am I still in control? Does this protection empower me or trap me? Would I be this safe if I had never touched his world? These questions aren't weakness, they're evolution. Because the true price of saving him was never servitude. He never wanted to own you. He wanted to shield you. The real cost is transformation, stepping into a new identity where you're no longer just surviving life. You're being carried through it by forces you can't see. Here's the gut punch. Peace is easy. Accepting that you didn't build it alone is the hard part. You're learning to live with unseen hands guarding you. You're learning to trust what you can't verify. You're learning that protection can feel both comforting and suffocating. And yet, chosen one, this battle proves something powerful. If the universe didn't think you could handle this transformation, it never would have chosen you in the first place. Number 9. The day he returns to you and the world goes quiet. You didn't just save his life, you resurrected the part of him everyone else helped kill. Chosen one, this moment is inevitable, not forced, not commanded, invited. One day you'll feel a shift, a message, a call, a quiet request that carries more weight than any demand ever could. That's when he'll ask to see you again. Not as the bleeding shadow you once held in your hands, not as the myth whispered about in dangerous circles, but as a man who should have died and didn't. Imagine this. You walk into a room expecting intimidation, expecting the legend, but instead you see a human being who looks at you like you're the only real thing left in a world built on lies. The silence between you won't be awkward. It'll be heavy, like both of you feel the gravity of what happened that day. He won't thank you with dramatic words. People like him don't do theatrics. Instead, you'll see it in his eyes, that haunting awareness that he survived when he shouldn't have. And for the first time, you'll understand the truth he's carried alone. You didn't just save his body, you saved the last working piece of his humanity. People like him stop believing in sincerity long before they stop bleeding. Loyalty is currency, trust is extinct, kindness is a joke, but you broke that curse in a single moment. Your instinct, raw, reckless, pure, shattered the wall he spent a lifetime building. Here's the part that will hit you hardest. He didn't choose to be vulnerable with anyone, but the universe chose you for him. That reunion won't feel like closing a chapter. It'll feel like opening a new one he never thought he deserved. Number 10. When your energy changes, everyone feels the shift. Nothing confuses people more than watching someone rise without permission. Chosen one, this is the part nobody warns you about. When a dangerous power player owes you everything, the world doesn't stay still. It tilts. Family looks at you longer than usual. Friends pause before they speak. Co-workers sense something they can't name. They don't know the story, but they feel the gravity. You walk into a room and it's like the air tightens. Some admire it, some envy it, some fear it. And the ones who secretly wanted to break you, they're the first to trip, the first to lose, the first to fall. Quietly, strategically, almost like the universe moves pieces behind their backs. Imagine this, someone plots against you, a small lie, a little jealousy, a hidden agenda. Before it reaches you, their plan collapses on its own. A sudden mistake, a sudden consequence, a sudden exposure. You didn't lift a finger. The world simply rearranged itself to protect you, like it's following invisible instructions written the day you saved him. But here's the part that hits deeper than any threat. Your mind starts shifting too. You'll dream of alternate lives, the version of you who walked past him, who never touched his blood, who stayed anonymous forever. You'll crave that simplicity, then hate yourself for craving it. You'll ask the forbidden question, was the price worth it? Every savior asks it, every chosen one battles it. And before guilt eats you alive, let me answer what your heart is wrestling with. The moment you saved him carved a new path into history. You can't reverse it, you can't outrun it, you can't undo it. But here's the truth nobody dares to say. You weren't meant for the life you lost. You were meant for the world that's rising to meet you now. Number 11. The day you saved him, you stopped being normal forever. You didn't climb into power. Power wrapped around you and refused to let go. Chosen one, here's the truth nobody in your old life is prepared to understand. You crossed a threshold the moment your hands touched his blood. You stepped into a different order, a realm built on old codes the modern world pretends don't exist anymore. Loyalty isn't optional, silence isn't politeness, obligation isn't pressure. These rules are older than laws, older than systems, older than every fake moral code people pretend to follow. And now you live between two realities. too ordinary to fully belong to his world, too changed to ever return to yours. Imagine this. You're sitting at a family gathering, smiling, pretending everything is the same, but you can feel it, that invisible machinery humming behind your life, that subtle awareness in your spine that someone is watching the room for you. You sense a shift when strangers look at you too long. You sense protection in places where there shouldn't be any. You sense a boundary around your life that wasn't there before. You might wonder, am I imagining this? No. You're feeling the ripple of a world that now moves when you move. Your friends don't see it. Your co-workers don't see it. But he does. His people do. The universe does. You're no longer just a civilian in the crowd. You're someone stamped by an event only a handful of people on Earth would ever experience. And here's the gut punch. Life will look normal, but it will never be normal again. Number 12. The moment it hits you. Your life isn't lucky. It's engineered. The world isn't going easy on you, it's getting out of your way. Chosen one, this is where everything falls into place. This is the moment the fog lifts, the static clears, and the truth slams into you with the force of a lifetime you didn't know you were living. Your reality has been rewritten, piece by piece, choice by choice, moment by moment. And it didn't happen randomly. It happened because the debt didn't fade. It woke up. You'll notice it first in the small things. A threat dissolves before you feel its heat. A problem evaporates before your name is even mentioned. A door you never touched swings open like it was expecting you. At first, you'll whisper, "I'm just lucky." Then you'll whisper, "This makes no sense." And finally, the truth rises from your chest like a verdict. You're protected, not by chance, by design. Imagine this. Two versions of your life running side by side. In one universe, every danger that almost reached you actually did. In this universe, every danger is intercepted long before your heart even senses a shift. You start to realize your survival isn't a coincidence. It's curated, edited, managed from shadows you never asked to enter but can no longer deny. And you'll ask yourself, what if I had walked past him? What if I never touched his world? Those questions used to torture you, not anymore, because the question has changed. It's no longer what if, it's what now. You can feel it, the world bending around you, shaping itself to your footsteps, making room for someone it silently vowed to protect. The debt lives, the universe is honoring it, and you stand in the center of a life that refuses to let anything break you again. The realization hits hard, chosen one, but so does the truth you were never meant to survive by accident. So, chosen one, now you see the truth. Your life didn't change. It was rewritten. You stepped into a world that bends for you, shields you, and moves when you move. This wasn't an accident. This was your awakening. And if this message hit you anywhere deep, press that like button if you haven't already. And if you're still not part of the family, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now. Your story is only getting louder, and you don't want to miss what the universe has lined up next.